Hey you, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I hope you are still full of turkey and cranberry sauce and stuffing and dressing. No, they're not the same thing. And mac and cheese and collard greens and jollof rice and fried rice and whatever other native dish that you eat on Thanksgiving. If you eat duck, if you eat chicken, whatever, I hope you are still full of your Thanksgiving meal. Or maybe there's some leftovers in your fridge like there are in mine. But I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. Truly enjoyed it, because there's so many reasons to give God thanks. The fact that we live in a land that's relatively peaceful, right? Considering what's going on in other parts of the world, that alone is enough to give God thanks for. But I don't know if you remember when we were talking about the Mind Gym, right? And we were, and my pastor had put us on this regimen, if you will, of finding 7 reasons to give God thanks for what he did yesterday. And so not just thank you, Lord, that I'm alive, and thank you for my parents, and thank you for my sisters and my brothers, and, not that stuff, which I think it's not necessarily bad, but it's almost lazy Thanksgiving, right? Because these are things that we thank him for all the time, but we don't take the time to actually think about the things that we're neglecting. And so if you remember us doing that Mind Gym, I hope you took some time this Thanksgiving to think back. Oh my goodness, to think back on how good God has been in this year, from last Thanksgiving to this Thanksgiving. What has he really done, right? Yes, you're alive, and that's worthy, truly worthy of Thanksgiving, but there's more than that. Yes, you got a new job, but there's way more reasons than that. Yes, maybe you got a new car. Maybe you have a man or a woman in your life now. Maybe, those are wonderful things to thank God for. Truly wonderful things. But there's so much more than just that. And so if you didn't, it's not too late, right? That can become your end of the year assignment. Like, what did God do? What has God done? And not just the everyday stuff, not the stuff you thank him for every time you say, thank you, Lord, but the other stuff, the stuff you neglect, the stuff your mind never goes to, that stuff, and so sometimes it takes a willfulness, right? You have to truly sit down and think, because some of these things are not just going to come to you, but he still deserves praise, even for the stuff that you don't remember. So yeah, do that, and you'll find yourself, your heart will burst, oh my goodness, at the goodness of God, truly, because he's been so good. It's just that a lot of us don't take the time to really think it through. He really has been good. So yeah, if you haven't done that, go ahead and do that. But I really hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. And I will say this, one of the things that I am thankful for in this year is you. I am thankful for you, all of you, every single one of you, everybody that is in the Already In You family. I am grateful for you. And so you can rest assured that I said, maybe not your name, because I don't know all your names, but I definitely lifted you up to the Lord to say, Lord, I'm grateful for all of my listeners, for those that support, for those that text, that DM, that reach out in different ways, that let me know that they're listening. I am grateful for you. So thank you. And thank you again. We have been talking about hope, right? And I was thinking back recently, my family and I traveled to Kentucky late last month, or something like that. It was late, or was it October? I can't remember, but recently, to say 30 days ago, or maybe 35 days ago, something like that. And so we were in Kentucky. We visited a college out there to encourage some of the brethren and teach a Bible study and some other things like that. We went to dinner out with some of the leadership. We went to dinner with some of the leadership and all of that stuff. And we had a great time. But while we were there, my children, I think it was fall break or some kind of break. We were on a break. They were on a break. And so I, typically speaking, when we do these kinds of trips, I always research things to do in wherever we're going, whatever city. So I had done that, and I had come across the ARC experience in Kentucky, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, okay, it's 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic, from where our hotel and from the school that we were visiting. And so I was just like, yeah, I don't know, because it was rainy, and it was just that kind of weather that just make you feel like, I'll just stay in here. We could just lounge in the hotel room all night until it's time to go back to the school, blah, blah, blah. So I wasn't sure if it was something I wanted to do, right? So I was just like, So I had talked to a friend while in a hotel, and I told her I was in Kentucky, and so she got all excited, and she's like, are you going to go to the ARC experience? And I'm like, well, I was thinking about it, but she was like, well, I thought that's the whole reason why you were in Kentucky. What other reason are you in Kentucky? So I told her, and she was like, no, you have to go. I've heard so much about it. I haven't been, but I've heard so much about it. And so she woke up a fire in me, because again, it was dreary, it was rainy, it was damp and cold. And I'm just like, but yeah, after talking to her, I'm like, okay, yeah, we definitely doing it. So I got on the computer, bought the tickets, and I told the kids, hey, we're about to go see the ARC experience, blah, blah, blah. So we go, and oh my goodness, y'all, wow. At first I got there, we get to the parking lot, and I'm like, oh my God, because I was expecting, if this ARC is life size and all that, I was expecting to be able to see it from the road, and I could not. And I was already disappointed. Like, okay, they're going to take me into some building, that's and simulate an ARC. Oh my God, I was so wrong. Needless to say, you get there, you park, and you have to ride a shuttle. So by the time I was getting to the shuttle, I'm asking the guy, I'm like, well, where's the ARC? And he was like, oh no, the ARC is a ways off the road. So you have to take a bus to the ARC. There you go. See, and this is how little things will dampen your your experience if you don't push through. But yeah, so I get on the bus with the kids, and of course they're excited, and we're walking through, and it's a bunch of, I can't take you place by place, but needless to say, as we get off the bus and we're walking towards the entrance, goodness gracious, you see this huge ARC, and my whole heart just I don't even know how to describe it. My whole heart was just, it didn't burst, but it swelled. I am looking at this ARC, and I'm like, and as I walk closer and closer, and the beauty of the experience is that, walking up to it, there are exhibits and things you can look at, some animals to see and things like that. And so, the walk to the ARC is its own experience. But by the time I get up on the ARC, so you see it from afar off, and you see the magnificence of this structure, and you're like, how? How did he do this? I was blown away. And the closer you get, and the bigger it gets, because obviously the closer you get, you start to compare your body size to the size of this ARC, and you're like, I don't even know what year to put on that, right? Because we're still in Genesis. How? There's no technology. There aren't tractors. There aren't forklifts. There aren't, there's not even a level, right? The little laser that makes sure that, things are straight. No, there's none of that. How? How did Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth and their wives, how did they do it? And that's the thought that's on my mind. And I'm like, man, this is amazing. And then so obviously you get in, and there's 4 levels of exhibits and 4 levels of different things that you can do. Oh my goodness. And every level we are just blown away. Me and the kids, my husband wasn't able to attend with us, but we are blown away. They show different things, how maybe possibly they kept the insects, because the insects had to be kept too. And so they show these little jars with mesh covers, and how possibly they were fed, and how possibly water water was dripped through the mesh, blah, blah, blah. They show different animals in their exhibits and fake people. They have screens on different sides to explain certain things. Oh my goodness, just literally thing after thing. And your mind is just constantly being blown away, because they have done several amounts of research, copious amounts of research. That's the better word. They've done so much research looking into the whole thing. And I think for us that just read the Bible, it can easily become a story, that we just read. That's amazing, but it's just a story. But when you see it in this huge ark, number one, it's built to scale. And so when you see that, first and foremost, you're like, oh my goodness. But in seeing all the other little things, how possibly the food was kept, they showed how possibly the water was recycled, all manner of technology before technology was even a thing. And so needless to say, I was blown away. And so I'm thinking about hope, and I'm thinking about Noah, and I'm wondering, what kind of hope did Noah have? OMG. If somebody builds an ark today in 2023, it's going to be strange for sure. But we see cruise lines, right? We see Royal Caribbean and Carnival and all these other cruise lines that have these crazy mega ships. We've seen it. And so if someone gets a word from the Lord today, hey, go build an ark and make it of gopher wood, and then the two animals and this, that, and the other, it's not going to be the same. But Noah didn't have a framework. Noah didn't have a cloud of witnesses. Noah didn't have internet and Google. Noah didn't even have Encyclopedia Britannica. Hello. Noah didn't have any of those things. He did not have resources. He did not have something in his mind that he could go back to. Oh, I've seen such and such before. Oh yeah, I saw when. Oh, I've been on a cruise, so I have an idea, even if it's not exactly the same thing. None of that. He had none of that. And yet he was still able to see it without seeing it. Oh my goodness, y'all. Hope is seeing it without seeing it. And I started to ask myself, what kind of hope was Noah operating in where he could see that ark without seeing the ark? That's the kind of hope God is trying to get us to operate in. So as we talk about hope, and as we look at it, and as we, flip it over and turn it upside down and lift it by its feet and then lift it back by its hair, as we do all of these things with hope, I want you to think like that. What kind of hope did Noah have, having never seen an ark, having never even heard the ark? I'm sure that was the first time the word was probably used in his hearing, in that time frame. Not even just his hearing, in the hearing of all humanity, if humanity were to have heard the word. And yet he was still able to take what the Lord said to him and make it a reality. He was still able to see it in his mind first and then bring it out into actuality on land in physical form. Hope is so powerful, y'all. Hope is so powerful. Hope says what God said to me is going to happen, whether I've seen an ark or not. Hope says God is going to bring these animals, even if I'm scared of how dangerous they are. Hope says God is going to take care of me. Hope says this door, oh my God, there was a part of the exhibit where they have these huge doors, and I have this beautiful picture of my children trying to open this door. The door is not, I don't think it's actually intended to open. I think it's just to show the possible magnitude of the doors. And so they're pulling on the doors, trying to get it open. And of course it does not open. But I'm staring at this door as I'm taking that picture, and I'm looking like, Lord, nobody could close a door like this. Much less a couple, Noah and his wife, 3 sons and their wives. So we talk about 8 people on an ark. And obviously none of the animals are trained, right? These animals came straight up out of the forest and out of the jungle and wherever else they came from. And so I doubt the ability, even though, of course, we serve a God of the lion's den. So the Lord could have definitely had the hippo go shut the door, maybe. But this door is so, it's a mega door. It's huge. And it's like, what could have closed that door? And I'm like, man, it takes even hope for that. Because I'm looking at this door and I'm like, man, if this door was wide open and the rain started to come and the boat started to lift up, but the door remained open, then I'm saying to myself, yo, I heard wrong. Like, oh man, I'm totally messed up. My whole family's about to die because we done everything right. And now the doors can't close because they're too big. They're too large, right? Hope says, no. The God I serve has a way. Oh my goodness. The God I serve has a way. And so the beautiful thing about the journey of hope, and it is a journey, is that along the way, there will be different things that will come to test your hope. Before a brick was laid or a piece of wood was laid, Noah needed hope. Right? He needed hope to tell his wife. He needed hope to tell his sons. He needed hope to some way, somehow lure the animals with the help of the Lord. He needed hope to gather all this food and say, you know what, this is actually going to happen. He needed hope when the townspeople were looking at him, wondering, possibly jesting and jeering at him, saying, what are you doing? What? He needed hope over and over, all the way until everybody is in the boat. Everything, all the creatures are in the boat. We are ready. The rain has started to come, and now the doors are too big for me to close them. Can you imagine? It's not like hope ever gets easier. It's not like hope ever is just like, I've had hope to this point, so I still have hope. Yeah, I think that with practice, hope gets easier for sure. It's easier to say, Lord, I know your hand is here. I know you're doing this thing. I know. But at the same time, you almost want to be like, Lord, I've exercised hope. I've exercised hope all this time. Like, at what point do I get a break? And you don't get a break. Why? Because the next minute needs as much hope as the minute before it. Everything is in the ark, and now these doors are staring at me plain in the face, and I don't know what to do to close these doors. Right? Like, oh my goodness. And so I'm thinking about hope, and I'm like, Lord, hope is hope. Noah needed all the hope in the world to not just build the ark, but to fill it, to not just fill the ark, but to close the doors, to not just close the doors, but to be in that ark for all the days that he was in the ark. And then he needed hope to be able to open the skies and say, yeah, this water's going to recede. Right? Because at a point you will start to say, yo, we're going to be in this ark. we're going to be in this ark because look at all this water. Where's it going? Nope. But hope says, I heard the Lord. Hope says God is going to do it. Hope says, yeah, I don't know where it's going. He's going to dry it up himself. He's going to blast his nostrils from heaven and dry this water up in some kind of way. But hope says we coming off this boat. What made him look at the bird and send the bird out in the midst of all of that water? What hope made him do that? There is a land. There is land surfacing somewhere. And then that dove, do we know if it was a dove, raven, or something? The bird did not come back. So the first one came back. So it's just like, okay, there's nothing. He didn't find land. What makes him send out another dove the next day? Do you see what I'm saying? Like every single day, there is something else. And so I am floored by the amount of hope. I never really thought about hope when it came to Noah. It was just, he was a man of God, and he was one of the few in his time, right? And despite all odds, despite the naysayers, he was able to do what the Lord wanted him to do. And he brought about the proliferation of the human race because everyone else was wiped out. Right. And of course there's amazement there, but that really was the summation of the story for me. I never really looked at it like, this is hope. This is hope in a very real, tangible way, over and over. And so then he sends out the next bird, but this bird doesn't come back. And now what he says there is okay, there's land somewhere. And so it's just like, okay, well, now it's just a waiting game. This water is going away. And I asked myself, if I was on this boat, what would I think? You know, like I remember reading the stories of the passengers in the beginning of COVID that were stuck on these cruise ships, and how they felt like it was an eternity, and it was just a couple of days. And I'm thinking, and you know how you will be in a situation and your mind starts to bring all the things that you know about this situation. So I'm standing at this door, taking pictures of my children, thinking all these thoughts all at the same time. And I am marveling at the awesomeness of God. Oh my goodness. Like, wow. And we're seeing someone being confronted with a hopelessness over and over and over again. How do 8 people take care of all of these animals? And yet some way, somehow, God supernaturally gives them the ability. How do 8 people gather enough food for all of these animals and themselves? And yet, some way, somehow, God doesn't. And I walked every level of this exhibit, and I am amazed over and over and over again. And I'm still amazed, quite frankly, as I look back. I took so many pictures, but I'm amazed. I am amazed. I am amazed. I am amazed. And I still am. Yeah, I still am. It is truly mind-boggling. From every aspect, from the beginning to the end, took someone hope. It took hope to keep going. It took hope to keep going. It took hope to keep going. And I'm telling you that whatever you're dealing with, whatever is in front of you, whatever you don't understand, whatever sickness is defying your prayer and defying the word of knowledge that your pastor gave you. Whatever situation is lasting a little bit too long, it's just like, hey, we've been dealing with this for a couple months, a couple years, decades in some cases, and I don't understand why it's still here. Whatever situation is defying the timeline that you had, in your mind as this is how long this would take, etc., etc. Remind yourself that it takes hope to keep going. I know how many times have I said it? I know that the God I serve is not a man that he should lie, or the son of man that he should repent. If he said it, it is done. I don't see my healing. I don't see the returned energy. I don't see the returned hair. I don't see my nails growing back, if that's something that you're dealing with. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see the pain being gone. I still very much feel the pain in my limbs, in my back, in my head. I don't see XYZ. I still see the blood. If you're the woman with the issue of blood, I still see that blood every single time I sit down to pee. I see it. I still see the evidence of the issue that I'm dealing with. But it is hope. It is hope that makes you leave your house and still hang on every word that your pastor will say. It is hope that makes you open up your word and say, Lord, I still see the issue, but I know that you are not a God that lies. It is hope that says, hey, yes, I still see whatever I see, but I trust God. Listen, y'all, hope is powerful. Hope is powerful. Another part of that exhibit, and I had something else to talk about in this episode, but it's looking like Noah is hijacking the whole thing. Another part of that exhibit that I love so much was how they talked about the water, right? Because I think a lot of us will think that the water just was rain. It rained so heavily that, the earth filled up. But there was a part of the exhibit that talked about how no, it wasn't just rain. Rain was absolutely a component, but it wasn't just rain. How the Lord caused the earth to open up, and water from the earth came up as well as from on top of the earth. Oh my Lord. Oh my God. What does that mean? Right? Like water came up from the earth. The earth opened, and water from the earth's core came up as well as water from the sky. And so if you've ever seen a well dug, right? They just keep digging until they hit water. That's essentially, I guess that's something to have in mind as you start to imagine, where would water come from the earth? And yet it did. Oh man. And it reminded me of the scripture in Genesis chapter 2, verse 5 and 6 that we talked about in waiting. In the absence of rain, the Lord provided a mist. Because I'm wondering, I'm looking at the story, and again, I got a Hollywood mind, and I'm looking at Noah, and I'm looking at his family, and I'm looking at them, look at the sky, wondering like, yo, this not enough water. We gonna be in this boat for 40 days waiting for the earth to fill up if this is all the water. And if you've ever seen what is that movie? Evan Almighty. If you've ever seen Evan Almighty, it was kind of like the same thing, even though, of course, again, Hollywood hijacked that. And I don't know that it was necessarily meant to be an exact replica of Noah. There was a whole nother message, blah, blah, blah. But if you've ever seen that movie, you'll see like there was a part where it started to rain. Like everyone was doubting, why did he build this ark, blah, blah, blah. And so it started to rain. So everybody's just like, oh yeah, now we see why he built the ark, and it got heavy. And then it just stopped. It literally just shut off. And I'm putting myself in Noah's shoes and wondering, like, did something like that happen? Right? Or did the Lord allow both to simultaneously happen so that they were able to see? But even if it was sequential, even if one thing happened after the other, can you imagine looking at the sky thinking, Lord, it's going to take 40 days to fill up the earth. Talk less of how long we're going to be in the ark. And yet God had a plan. And I'm reminded again that one of the biggest aspects of hope is knowing that God has a plan. I don't get it all because I'm not supposed to get it all, but God has a plan. In your estimation, the earth is going to open up, the sky is going to open up, and it's going to rain cats and dogs to fill up the earth. That's how you see it. But no. I have another plan. In the absence of rain, I'm providing a mist. Okay, and I have another plan. I'm going to open up the bottom of the earth, and water's going to come up from the earth as well as come down. My ways are not your ways. And if we could just look at our situations and remind ourselves that it may not happen the way we want it to happen, but it will happen. I don't have it all figured out because my mind is not his mind. His ways are not my ways. I am not supposed to get it. And if I stay staring at the sky, waiting for enough rain to come down to fill the earth so that this boat can float, then I am going to consistently be let down. But if I resolve myself and I say hope, I'm activating my hope. If I resolve myself and leave myself in the hand of God, then he is able to do what he had always intended to do. Just because I didn't realize that's what he wanted to do doesn't mean that wasn't always his plan. Stop looking at the sky. The Lord is bringing water from the earth. And that right there is enough to make me smile. So needless to say, y'all, the entire experience from parking to walking towards the bus stop to seeing this huge ark, from afar to walking up on it and seeing that I am literally an ant next to this magnificent structure, to wondering how they did it with no technology, to getting in, seeing how they kept all these animals and how they possibly did this and that, and seeing a journey, literally a journey of one aspect of hope to another, right? Where it builds. It's not just, oh, I have hope for the situation and it turns out. No. It is like a minute by minute hope journey. You need hope for every minute of this life. Truly. Because if you're rounding up one thing, I guarantee you that you're walking into another thing. So yeah, if you are in Kentucky and you ever have a minute or a chance to go to the ARC experience, I would encourage you to go to the ARC experience. It was literally an experience that I will never forget. And if I'm ever in Kentucky again, you can rest assured that I will be going back. But hope is a journey. Hope is one decision after the next. Hope builds on yesterday's hope, right? Today's hope builds on yesterday's hope. And tomorrow's hope is contingent on today's hope. And so you have to constantly have this mindset of hope. Why? Because every single day something will come that will challenge your hope, right? The door at the end could have challenged Noah's hope, but hope again stood up and said, hey, I'm going to close this door, so don't worry about it. And then being every day on the ark, hope had to be ignited up until the end of the experience, sending out doves. One comes back. What makes you say, hey, let me send out another one? No, the first one came back because it couldn't find anywhere to land. Why would I send out another one? But hope said, yep, try again. And in his trying again, there was a time where the bird didn't come back. And that's when he knew there's land somewhere. Oh my goodness, one thing after the next. And so I'm encouraging you, embark on your journey of hope and let it build. Let it build. You may not be building an ark, the proverbial ark, but everything that's going on in your life is its own ark. It's its own ark. We are all in some kind of way building an ark. And just like Noah activated hope on a consistent and constant basis, please activate hope in your own situation so that every day looks better than the last day. Remember, all you need for life and godliness has been given. It's already given. It's already yours. It's already in you.